Welcome back everyone to another Kaiserreich country overview, and this time we're going to be looking at Egypt. Pretty interesting. Let's take a look at the history. So a bit like many other countries in the world of Kaiserreich, Egypt kind of has to deal with the legacy of the British Empire and other vestiges of the past, such as the Ottomans. And in KR, Egypt is essentially the historical protectorate of Egypt plus Anglo-Egyptian Sudan down here, while Germany, being the mainly different part from history, controls the Suez Canal instead of Great Britain. And of course, this means that Egypt is completely independent. So while the political sort of system and the armed forces are very, very much based on the old protectorate influence of the British, Egypt's kind of role in Kaiserreich is mostly just dealing with mercy killing the sick man of the Middle East, the Ottomans, and trying to unite the Arab world. So, because in the world of Kaiserreich, the Treaty of Sèvres, which partitioned the Arab territories of the Ottoman Empire between Britain and France in our timeline, of course never happened because Britain and France lost World War I to Germany and of course the Ottoman Empire by proxy. We have the absence of that partitioning also means that there is no Iraq and there is no Syria to sort of create a national identity parallel to the Arab identity in these Arab territories of the Ottoman Empire. And because of this, both Hashemite controlled Arabia, very, very much reduced in a way, because of the lack of Medina and lack of Hail, and the Sultanate of Egypt, led by Abbas II, have a political objective that's fairly simple. They need to take down the Ottomans and unite the Arab world and achieve full independence for Arabs. Egypt's army, starting off, is pretty good. You have 4 divisions of infantry, you can see these, 3 divisions of cavalry, 2 divisions of militia, 1 garrison, and then very, very soon down the focus tree, let's just get this all away, you will receive a couple of, with this expand the royal army, you receive a couple of veteran units that are basically just your normal infantry divisions. So you have a fairly decent starting force, not enough to take on the Ottoman Empire, but definitely enough to build up on, and then make use of the various alliances that you have to improve your chances of actually taking them down. Nothing really too strange in the focus tree when it comes to giving yourself some more buffs for the army. There's a couple of cavalry buffs, a couple of reinforcement rate buffs, and then there's a way to reduce your inexperienced forces modifier, which at the start is very, very bad, with that minus 20% recovery rate and minus 5% organization. You can definitely improve on that. And you can also, improve your industry very much with your national focuses. At the start of the game, you have 10 civilian factories, 4 militaries, and 1 naval dockyard. You can get 10 more civilian factories through civilian economy line, and then 4 more military factories. So actually a very, very huge double increase in production for militaries and civilians. And then for dockyards, you get 4 more, so you jump up to 5. Definitely quite strong. Dockyards do help you reinforce your starting navy, which is quite good. You have 3 heavy cruisers, 5 light cruisers, and 8 destroyers. So that's definitely a navy that you can do some distraction for the Ottoman Navy in the Mediterranean. The Ottoman Navy usually is a whole lot stronger. Let me see. Ottomans, they should have a battleship, right? Oh yes, they have 3 battleships, so they can beat you in a fair one-on-one fight between the navies, but you can use your navy to protect your convoys and get some naval invasions going in the war. You also have an air force of only 25 fighters, of course the interwar kind. Nothing really too major on that front as well. So what do I think about the focus tree overall? Well, it's not really all that expensive when it comes to diplomacy and politics, because The politics side is really locked through events, and it is events that are going to allow you to form the Axis faction with Hashemite Arabia and perhaps Persia to try to take down the Ottomans. And it is through events that you gain cores outside your nation. So you start off with cores, of course, on our Ural lands. You actually start off with cores on Sudan. Yes, you do. Very good. You have some cores in the Sinai. Then the maximum expansion of the cores you can have actually goes from all the way from Kirkuk in Kurdistan all the way to Tripoli, if you pick some certain options in the Arab Congress event line. So you can actually end up with a huge manpower pool all the way from, again, Tripoli to Kirkuk, and basically including all of the Arab populated areas except the ones in modern-day Saudi Arabia. So including modern Iraq, modern Syria, modern Lebanon, modern Israel and Palestine, and then, of course, the coastal areas of modern Libya, although you actually do not get cores in the interior, which is something that I kind of enjoy, seeing that this is mostly just... Oh, why is there a mountain here? Oh, right, it's Desert Mountain. Mostly this is just like Bedouin and Tuareg populated regions, Berbers, so not really Arabs. Not really Arabs who live mostly along the coast and have a different sense of culture. So that's kind of what I like. What I don't like is, again, the fact that it's not very expansive. So you can only do these, and you can either, basically for your Congress, Arab Congress line of events, you can choose between having more and less cores, essentially at the cost of more or less relationship with your allies, and then more or less political power. Or you can, after you defeat the Ottoman Empire, you can either partition them and get an independent Turkey and an independent Armenia, or you can try to take them over entirely. And that's basically the end of your political choices from the events. And then you also have the Nile Proclamation and African Ambitions, which is, I'm pretty sure, supposed to give you some kind of event, but right now they don't. They don't really give you events to try to expand in Africa, although, you know, this is what you'd expect out of African Ambitions and the Nile Proclamation. You can, however, get some demands off against Oman, Yemen, and the Germans. You can demand the Suez Canal from the Germans, and they usually will accept if they are embroiled in a war with the Commune of Paris. Commune of Paris? No, not the Paris Commune, the Commune of France. If they're embroiled in the Second Weltkrieg, then the German Empire usually will just give you the Suez Canal, as long as you play nice. With Yemen and Oman, it depends. Usually they submit to you if you're very powerful, but if Yemen has been subjugated by the German Empire, then they will most likely just ignore you. Another thing that is very, very cool is that if Deutsche Mittelafrika happens to explode into various different, of course, ethnic states that you see over here, you can actually gain some of these as allies for the Axis faction. For example, up here, also other nations that can join into the Axis faction, such as Tripolitania, aka Libya. You can steal cores off of them, of course, but if they declare independence from the Ottomans and the Ottomans don't instantly take them down, then they can ask to join the Axis. So the alliance system is quite well done for the Axis of Mecca Cairo faction. The rest really isn't full of too many choices. You can either have more or less degree of control over the Ottomans, more or less degree of control over the Nile River Basin in Africa, and you can have more or less control over Libya. That's basically about it. You cannot change your ruler from Abbas II to anybody else. You cannot change, again, your political party. There's really not a lot that's there. You cannot change anything. Would have been nice if you could, but it's okay. You don't always need to worry about like 7 different political factions in your country, which is, I guess, fine. You can just focus on taking down the Ottoman Empire and having a fun military game. That's basically what I think about Egypt. Having a good time with, you know, taking down the Ottomans, and it's even better if the Ottomans get like a bunch of help from various different countries like Germany, and if, for example, if Russia has Sabinkov as a leader, then they'll probably send in some volunteers to help out the Ottoman Empire. And Austria and Bulgaria are likely to send in volunteers for the Ottomans as well. If they do, it's even more fun to take them down because, again, they provide much more of a challenge. And yeah, that's basically about it. So I want to thank y'all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this country overview for Egypt. Sorry if it was a little bit bare bones compared to the other ones, but again, it's a bit like because the focus tree is more focused. Ha ha ha, so funny. And basically, yeah, that. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Drop a dislike if you didn't. I'll see you soon.